like, well, Verlander. So, again, I'm looking at making trades for Cleveland players, Oakland players, Boston players, Angel players, and all those guys in the National League that we've already talked about. I want to talk about tonight's games, and this is going to take the rest of the show. I've got some stats for you as we go through this, players that you might want to look at, start, not start, and here we go. The Dodgers at 7:05. They start off the slate tonight, at least on my schedule. The Dodgers and Walker Buehler, as we just talked about, he's 8-1 with a 3.45 ERA. Face off in Philly against Vince Velasquez, 2-5 with a 4.63 ERA. And here's the lineup for the Dodgers: Peterson, Verdugo, Turner, Bellinger, Muncy, Pollock, Seager, Barnes, and Buehler. For the Phillies, Hernandez, Kingery, Harper, Hoskins, Bruce, Realmuto, Brad Miller at third, Adam Hesley in center, and Vince Velasquez. I want to pause for a moment and talk about some of these players. I'm not going to just give you, I don't like that, do you? Line up. It's like you're, drinking water out of a fire hydrant. And so I'm not going to do that with you. I am going to, though, stop between games. I may run out of time because I'm not going to cut into Chappie's time. Promise you, Chappie. And it's live tonight. You know it's live because the internet got cut off about 9 minutes into the show. I was just talking away, and I guess I was talking to myself. Billy Idol danced with himself. I talked to myself. What's the song? Unwell. Anyway, an aside. Let's get back. Peterson. Verdugo. Let's talk about Verdugo. On the season, 3.11 average, 11 homers, 43 RBIs. What have you done for me lately, Janet Jackson? Well, Verdugo's gone 9 for 18 over his last 5 games, a 500 average with 2 homers, 5 RBIs. So Verdugo having a really hot time of it lately. Justin Turner, 294 on the season, 11 homers, 37 RBIs. But he's 7 for his last 24, right on par with his season numbers. 292 average, 2 homers, and 4 RBIs over his last 5 games. Cody Bellinger, did you see what he did last night? 2, not 1, but 2 dingers. On the season, MVP, I think he's MVP. I've been talking about Yelich. Okay, you're saying no sound, buddy. I'm trying to give you sound. Showing on my machine, you should be getting sound. So tell me if you're not. I'll pause for a moment because if you're not hearing me, there's no reason to talk. Now, is there? So somebody give me something because I'm showing we should have sound and that. Let's see if I can go here and put that in the chat room. And I just put 3 question marks up and you can hear me. I don't know what happened. Maybe I got so excited with the phone I just turned it away from my face. Who knows? But we're talking about Bellinger. I've been talking about a few weeks ago Yelich being most valuable player. That can fluctuate. I have the right to change my mind. Cody Bellinger with the Dodgers so far in first. 341 average on the year. 33 bombs. 75 runs batted in. 8 stolen bases. Over his last 5 games, he's hitting 350. Right on par with his season average. With 3 homers and 4 RBIs. And I tell you a nice little ad the Dodgers picked up, and it was an internal ad. Crystal clear. That's what I like. It's like the ocean. It's like you're listening to the ocean, and it's soothing as we talk about fantasy baseball on a Tuesday evening on Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. Right, Chappie? Royals 29 Boom has sound. I better pause for a moment. You guys have been so patient with me. You make this fun. Bradley, Cam, Cha-Cha, Charlie. Tell me how to pronounce DVDA Bizzle. I just, I don't know. Maybe I'm too Southern, right? Maybe I just can't do it. Timothy Hooker's with us. Royals 29 Boom, of course. Phil Chappie. So phonetically, sound that out for me. You brush your teeth to this. Well, And if you like this, tomorrow morning I'm doing Lenny's slot at 9 o'clock. Thank you, Lenny, for giving me that opportunity. I don't usually work on Wednesdays anymore. Podcast, my contract doesn't call for it. But I'm back on the air on Wednesday tomorrow morning at 9. So I want you guys listening to me. We'll have a lot to talk about, okay? So I'm still working on this name. Is it Diva Bizzle? Okay? I don't know. I want to say it right. So if you can phonetically chat room it to me, I want to call it out right and not miss it ever again. But the player the Dodgers have added internally, Royals 29 says, I pronounce it Dan. I was going to call him Diva because it's DVDA. Or I could call him the Diva Bizzle. That may be what I just do. Diva Bizzle. There you go. Or Dave DeBizzle. That even sounds better, doesn't it? Dave DeBizzle. Dave Doc Bizzle. Dave Doc Bizzle. That's what I'm going to say. Dave Doc Bizzle from now on. Let's get back to the matters at hand. The Dodgers have internally activated a player off the IL. You know, A.J. Pollock probably was drafted this year. He wasn't healthy from day one. And so the numbers that he showed coming into the season, up until the time he was placed on the injured list, I discredit them. Because I think he was hurt the entire time he played. So they DL him. They operate on the elbow. They send him through minors at a precautionary pace, much like brushing your teeth to the sound of the ocean, soothing, worked him through slowly, activated him last weekend against Boston. He's played 3 games, and he's 6 for 14 with 2 homers and 6 RBIs. Now, Pollock's not going to hit 429, but I think he's going to hit. The bat has hits in it, and he's going to play regularly going forward. And if you have owned or have added, I bet he was cut in a lot of leagues. If you have added A.J. Pollock, kudos to you. I did. Kudos to me. The Dodgers can hit. The Phillies tonight, Cesar Hernandez, and they fell on hard times, and here you go. I can show you why. Cesar Hernandez leading off. He's 5 for his last 17. That's good, 294, but no homers and only 1 RBI and no stolen bases. Bryce Harper is hitting 254 for the season for Philadelphia with 16 homers and 62 RBIs. Average. He's average. He's no longer the great Bryce Harper. He's average. His last 5 games, he's 6 for 20. A 300 average. Really good, right? How many home runs and how many RBIs does Bryce Harper have in the last 5 games while he's hitting 300? Chat room me. I'm going to tell you after I go through 2 more players for the Phillies. I'm going to come back to Bryce Harper. Excuse me. Rhys Hoskins, 267 on the year. 20 homers, 59 RBIs. 6 for his last 15, 400 average with 1 homer. Only 1 homer and 2 RBIs. JT Realmuto, 274 on the year. 11 homers on the season, 44 RBIs. Over his last 5 games, 4 for 14, a 286 average with a homer and 4 RBIs. So Hoskins, Realmuto producing, but out of that number 3, number 4 slot, you haven't typed anything, guys, so I'm going to have to just spoon feed you, okay? Is that the way it's going to be? Well, if it is, that's the way it'll be. While Bryce Harper has hit 300 over the last 5 games, he has no home runs. He has no RBIs. The Phillies are wasting a 300 average off the bat of Bryce Harper because people in front of him aren't getting on base, and Scott Kingery is the main culprit. Kingery is hot and he's cold. Remember that song by Katy Perry? You're hot and you're cold. You know how it goes. He's cold right now. The Phillies are losing right now. And do you really stock a lot of confidence in making the playoffs on the shoulders of one Scott Kingery? Oh my. The Phillies are in trouble is what I'm getting at. And their pitching is horrific. I told you the score of last night's game. The only score worse than the Philly game was the one in Colorado. The Giants win 19-2. The Phillies lose to the Dodgers 16-2. Oh, come on. Let's move on. Dodgers are going to win tonight. Buehler's going to beat the Phillies. He'll strike out double digits. And it'll look like it'll be a great time to add him. And it's fool's gold, guys. Don't go adding Walker Buehler in fantasy. I'm telling you, his innings are going to get reduced. If I had been offered Jacob deGrom for Fernando Tatis, that would have been a trade that I think would be fair to both teams. deGrom for Tatis, but not Buehler. The Tampa Bay Rays are in New York playing the Yankees. Here are the lineups. I'm not going to finish all this. So, Chappie, you're going to have to pick it up and run with it, I guess. Travis d'Arnaud, Tommy Pham, Mike Brousseau, Yandy Diaz, Avisail Garcia, Austin Meadows, Willie Adames, Kevin Kiermaier, and Mike Zunino. Nate Lowe, the American League Player of the Week last week, missing 2 games in a row. They are sitting him against these 2 Yankee left-handers. I think he's going to play against lefties, but I don't think he's playing tonight because these are must-game wins in the minds of the Rays if they want to win that American League East. And you want to not be a wild card team because you know it's sudden death. Travis d'Arnaud, 252 on the year, leading off tonight. But in his last 5 games, he's 7 for 13, a .538 average, 3 homers and 6 RBIs. And if you are playing daily fantasy and he's cheap and you haven't bought him, go do it. Go do it now. Go add Travis d'Arnaud. He's leading off tonight against CC Sabathia. He's a right-handed batter against a left-handed pitcher. What are you waiting for? Quit listening to me and go at him if you're playing daily fantasy right now. Tommy Pham, 286 on the year, 2 homers, 5 for his last 16, a .313 average. Brousseau, 277. Got the wrong player. Yandy Diaz, 277, 12 homers. He's hitting 278 over his last 5. And Austin Meadows, who had cooled off. Now, he's missed two games out of the last 5. He's a lefty, playing against a lefty tonight. Kind of interesting, right? But he is hitting 375 over the last 5 games. He's only played in 3 of those, but he is hitting 375. The Yankees, some of these numbers are good and some are not. Most of them are bad. How about Gary Sanchez, the great one? Yes, the great one, Gary Sanchez. 240 on the year, 24 homers, 57 ribs, but over his last 5, only 2 for 14. That's a 143 clip. No homers, no RBIs. Double E, Edwin Encarnacion. 221 on the year, 27 homers, hit 2 bombs last night. 4 for his last 15 over 5 games, a .267 average. So maybe last night's numbers propel Double E. Gleyber Torres. It seemed like Gleyber Torres' stats come against the Orioles. 295 average, 19 homers, 51 RBIs, but half of his home runs are against the Orioles this year. Over his last 5, he's hitting 286 with no homers, no RBIs, and no stolen bases. And he's batting 8th now in the Yankee lineup. And then there's Brett Gardner. The Renaissance Man. Remember that movie? He's the Renaissance Man, baby. 253 average. For the longest time, Brett Gardner was a 220 hitter this year, 215 hitter. Now he's at 253. 15 home runs. Tell me the ball isn't juiced. Tell me it's not wound tight. Brett Gardner, 15 home runs? Are you kidding me? He's on pace to hit 25, 28. 7 for his last 19. That's 368 with a homer and with an RBI. Now, tonight, stat-wise against the pitcher, Stanek is the opener. He doesn't pitch long, so the stats aren't much. But I'll give you what I got. Aaron Judge is 3 for 6 off of Stanek with a double and a home run. Brett Gardner is 4 for 9 off of Stanek with a home run. For the Rays against the Yankee pitchers, Zunino, who's starting at catcher tonight, he's batting 9th. He's 5 for 11 in his career off of Sabathia. That's a 455 average. Kiermaier is 6 for 19 with 2 homers off of Sabathia, a 316 clip. Tommy Pham, 4 for 13, a 308 average. And Travis d'Arnaud, the hottest of them all for Tampa. 5 for 15 in his career with 2 walks, a 333 average, that game.